Hey everybody, how's it going? Real Diversity here. We're back with another video. First and foremost, you can treat this video like a podcast. It won't be any images or video, or besides the one image, we won't be any videos or anything like that on the screen. But it's my first Marvel Rivals video. I've been wanting to make some soon, or been wanting to make some. I have been streaming it on Twitch, so follow me on Twitch. I'll add that in the description. I'm not sure if that's already in my bio or whatever, but I'll add that. Follow me on Twitch if you want to see some of my streams, or go just watch some of my clips or whatever on there. But yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about ways to get immensely better at Marvel Rivals, and it's very simple. And this video is going to be pretty short because one thing about the game, Marvel Rivals isn't that over complex. I want to start at first. It's a game that doesn't. It has a skill gap. There is skill gaps with certain characters, but the game itself doesn't have the highest skill. You can play at a high level without really being that skilled of a player because there are a lot of players that have auto hit or just close enough where you just have to smack them or things like that. So, and then there are some characters that do require, if you are very skilled with them, you can actually put in a lot of work with them and get a lot of value out of them. But you don't necessarily have to be skilled to get a lot of value out of yourself and the characters you're using and your team. So, but I just want to talk a little bit about some ways you can get immensely better at the game. And the first thing is two things. I'm really only two things I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to go in depth and on. The first thing is, and you may have heard this, and but you may have or not, but you got to be flexible. You have to be flexible. This is a game that has 3 different positions, and sometimes there is diversity within those positions. So, we have pretty much, I'm just Vanguard, attacker, and the support. So basically, you have to be flexible to switch between these, and also sometimes even within your own, if you're playing tank, you sometimes have to be able to switch to another tank when maybe you're getting, it's not the best tank in that situation. For example, Venom isn't the best tank, but Venom isn't the best tank for to sit in the front lines often. I've actually made that work early game when I was on some domination maps. You can't kind of just sit there and attack and be annoying without swinging everywhere. But most of the time, Venom is a diver type tank that you want to just kind of be disruptive with, and they can't kill you real easy, so they have to kind of divide their attention up. So he's a character that isn't meant to really be the front line. So maybe if you need a tank that's taking hits, maybe you want to pick Groot out there. If you need a tank that's doing a little bit more damage, because maybe they're not focusing on tank, then you maybe want to summon. You maybe want to play Thor or somebody like that. So again, you gotta be flexible within your position, and also just being able to swap positions. Okay, what does my team need? And I'll tell you this. I'm gonna say this at the front of the video. I am currently ranked in gold. I've gotten there from just solo queuing. Initially, when the game first released, I was playing a few ranked matches. The very first, as soon as ranked was released, which this was a bad idea. I did not want to play ranked as soon as it dropped. But as soon as ranked was released, everyone ran to it. I was in a squad at the time, and we played, and we lost the first 6-7 matches. It doesn't matter how well you communicate in Marvel Rivals, because most of the time, most people are just doing their own things anyway. So you don't really necessarily need a party. So I managed to get to go just solo queuing, and this is minimum time. I haven't been pinning a stupendous amount of time into it. I could have already been probably platinum or something like that, or whatever the rank pass gold is. I could have been. I believe I can get a lot higher in this game for sure in the higher ranks, because again, it doesn't take that much skill, as I said earlier. It just takes a lot of discipline and kind of just strategic planning. Positioning is important too. It's one of those games that you just don't have to be that skilled. You just kind of got to know what the heck you need to do and what's going on. So anyways, again, sorry, I just wanted to say that about myself. But yeah, so be flexible with your character, and be able to switch. Just be able to switch to someone else if you need to. If you see you're using DPS and you're just not getting value out of it, you have your tanks are doing better on damage than you, you probably need to switch off that DPS. And maybe even if you're okay, well, I'm frontlining and I'm not getting as many kills as my other. Okay, well, switch to a DPS that's flanking. Switch to someone else that's going to be more effective, or just doing something different and see if that works or helps. So, or just kind of pay attention to their team and see what you maybe need. Okay, maybe they're focused on the tank, so maybe then sometimes when I notice they're focusing on the tank heavy, I can get away with using someone like Punisher, who can just deal a lot of damage by sitting in their face. So He's one that, or maybe if they're focusing on everyone, targeting other DPSs, targeting support, then maybe I want to use a flanker who can kind of get around, protect them, and also get to their support and two, and just be disruptive. So maybe you want to play someone like Starlord or something like that, or Iron Man, even not Iron Man, but Spider-Man, something like that, right? Or you're being disruptive on the front line. Or if you see, hey man, they're not playing no real shooters. They're all playing close fight, hitters and things like that. Well, go Iron Man. I know a lot of people talk bad about Iron Man, but he is a really good character that's gonna make them switch. Someone's gonna have to switch to deal with him. If they don't, then you just kind of free damage on them the whole game, and that does add up eventually if you're just constantly pounding on them and shooting down on them with Iron Man. So yeah, be flexible, swear to switch. That's the biggest thing. Okay, I don't remember where I was at, but again, just to wrap that final point up, be flexible. That's all I gotta say. And hopefully I explained that really well. But just be able to switch when you need to, and really recognize that too is more important too. Is to be like, okay, oh, I see that guy. What's his name? Let me counter. Like they're running Iron Fist. A lot of times I'll do this too. Is when it comes to if they're running a heavy flanker like an Iron Fist, and I see my team isn't really helping much on those, I like to play support as Mantis or something like that. If I'm running support and I see they're flanking hard, targeting hard, then I'll usually switch to Jeff. And the reason is because he's eating, sometimes not from Iron Fist, but it's a little bit easier to escape conflict when you're using Jeff. So a lot of times I'll be like, okay, they're heavy on the flank. I need to switch to a supporter that can kind of escape easier. Also, I guess Loki would be pretty good here as well. Um, my when I use Loki, my brain just doesn't think right. He's one of those characters, like he just plays so differently from most of the other supports that it's just like you have to really position, and timing is really important with him, and he's definitely like reminds me, he's like a chess type player. Like you just really got to make sure you calculate your moves. But yeah, that's pretty much it on that. Next point is know the characters. Like just know the characters. And I mean front to back, and not really front, but know what each character. First of all, when the game first dropped, I would just want to get in a match. So I played around with like some characters that I was interested in, Iron Man, whatever. I played around with a few characters, then I jumped in like some quick games and I was using them. But as time progressed, I was making sure I kept practicing, going and practice with different characters, learn different characters. Because it at first it is so many characters, it really is overwhelming. Like you kind of just gotta pick your favorites. Like literally, that's how you start that game. Like if you just start picking your favorites. You play a few matches. You start to just kind of see how other characters play from just your matches and stuff. But then you just gotta kind of still get up in there, practice, and use other characters that even you may not have interest in using. Yeah, I've seen what Magic does. I don't want to use Magic. Okay, cool. Don't use Magic, but you need to know what Magic does, and you gotta learn these characters for a lot of obvious reasons, but mainly to be able to counter them and just kind of just not fall for their stuff. So one thing here, and this is a big thing, and when I say learn these characters, read their descriptions of their things and learn their combos and stuff. Like, okay, what do they normally do? How does Spider-Man work? Like I learned how Spider-Man works. I use Spider-Man, so I know what Spider-Man wants to do. And I know, what their main plan of attack is. So these things, and you're able to kind of better prepare yourself, or at least position yourself in a way that you can counter it. So I know Spider-Man's finna zip up on me. So if I'm using Punisher or something, I'm getting ready to smoke screen shotgun. If I'm using Punisher, I see Spider-Man's engaging. I know he's gonna get up and close on me. I'm ready to get distance, and I'm ready to start, punishing him back. So it's just things like that you just mentally need to know what each character does, just so you can kind of be positioning yourself and just be prepared. And it also goes back to being able to flex and be like, okay, well, I can this character counters this character. So, and again, to kind of hammer that point in, I don't think most people know what Groot does. Most people think Groot just pissed these walls up. I used to think that too. I first used Groot, I was like, wall. These walls are fun. Yeah, they're supposed to block shooters. Whatever. Maybe even I've seen some people use them. I've seen one person he built stairs with Groot. Like it was almost like a Fortnite match. He built some stairs with the Groot, which you can like One of them does replenish, so you can like pretty much make as many walls if no one's destroying them. But yeah, those walls actually have. Besides, they're actually versatile with that, being able to become platformers and things like that. But they are also versatile because they have effects. The big wall actually gives you a shield when you're fighting next to it. When you fight next to it, it gives you a shield, and also the little wall, it hits your opponent. So if you can kind of trap your opponent, most of them don't realize this, but that wall will hit them. That wall does quite a bit of damage too. So you kind of want to make sure you're using the right walls at the right time and kind of using them to maybe not just block shots, which is actually really good too, but to also, which I want to, I don't know, has there been any updates or anything? It seems like Groot's walls seem a lot more stronger now. At least when I go against a Groot, it takes a lot of shots sometimes to destroy a wall now. When I feel like I was using Groot and pin up a wall, it was like immediately got destroyed. But anyways, Groot feels a lot. I don't know. I gotta look up and see if they made any adjustments or any quick hot fixes or anything like that. His walls just feel really strong now when I go against him. But anyways, his walls will do certain things. You gotta go, but you wouldn't know that. You gotta go read that. You wouldn't just know that. It's not obvious, but you have to go read it. And sometimes you just gotta go in there and practice with it. So yes, there are certain characters that have certain abilities that you just want to make sure you're aware of. I eventually got in the thing. Actually, there's one character I still have not used. I still have not used Moon Knight, but I know Moon Knight well enough to counter him, but he's one character I personally haven't looked at and read up on. But most of these characters, you want to make sure that you know what everyone does generally and how to counter them, even if you're not using them. And obviously, you want to make sure you know how your characters work. So make sure you're reading those their abilities, passive, and everything. Make sure you know the characters. I think that's one of the easiest ways to just improve. And I think with that alone, if you can do that, you can climb the ranks pretty easy. If you're trying to be higher ranked, that's all this really takes is knowing how to flex or play every position. Because sometimes, and this is why we don't need role queue, because everyone just needs to be able to flex. Okay, I'll be the tank this game. Okay, well, if you're playing DPS or something like that, and you see you're not pinning up working, switch to tank. That's the only reason I wouldn't mind a party, is because then we can actually say that, hey, I'm not doing nothing. I'm gonna just be the tank. Okay, cool. Let me now. Whoever was the previous tank can switch to a DPS or whatever. So that's the only reason I would think a party is kind of better, is because you can communicate the actual switches. But other than that, you don't really need to have this. You can do this solo queue. You just gotta be paying attention to who's playing who, and who's using what, and what the team needs. And a lot of times too, I think why I've been able to really elevate myself just by playing by myself and winning over 50% of my matches, is because of I play characters that support other characters. Okay, they just picked Venom. I'm gonna use Penny. I'm gonna use Spider-Man. Oh, they just picked Hela. I'm gonna use Thor. I'm gonna use this. So they're picking, Adam Warlock. Okay, now I'm gonna use Star-Lord. So certain characters, when I see, I'm immediately like, okay, I'm gonna use this. I'm trying to complement the team, and a lot of times this isn't necessary. Sometimes you just play who you want to play, but it can be very beneficial when you're playing into another character that someone else is just using for your benefit. Star-Lord, if they're using Adam Warlock just because they like Adam Warlock, great, but he actually plays really well if I'm using Star-Lord, because that gives me that extra ability to revive myself probably like twice a match. So really good, synergy there. So you just want to just be able to know these things and recognize the characters, what they do, and be able to counter them. And yeah, so I think that's really great sound advice. And with that, you can pretty much go far. You can pretty much go far without necessarily. This, like I said earlier, this game takes skill. It takes but it's more so takes positioning, understanding, and being able to play your position. So again, like I said, if you're not the best shooter, don't use Hela. Don't use Hawkeye. Obviously, don't use some of these heavy. Don't use some. And these are some of the best some of the best characters, is because there is some skill within using those characters. But you can still be a good DPS without being the most accurate shooter, especially if you're Iron Fist or something, right? So again, you don't necessarily need to be the best. You don't have the best aim. You don't need to have the best whatever. You just need to be able to play your position well and be able to be flexible into other positions when needed, which I guess means you have to be able to play those positions well too. So just be able to Just use multiple characters. You just need better use. If you can use 2 tanks, 2 DPSs, 2 supports, different supports, that's a good enough start there. That should get you pretty much going. If you can just be able to switch. Okay, this tank isn't working. Maybe I'll use my other main tank. You know, you shouldn't just stick to one for sure. Even if you don't like playing tank and you only know how to play one tank, that's not gonna help. Especially as soon as that tank starts getting steamrolled, you need to better maneuver to another tank, especially if no one else is trying to play tank, which is what I usually do. So, anyways, yeah, I think that's got me pretty far. I'll happily do it. I'm quick to be like, okay, I want to play DPS because I wanna get up on that back row. I wanna be disruptive. I wanna get some high kills. That's what I like to do. But usually when I say, okay, I'm late to the pick, I'm just gonna play the tank because I'm late. I'm last. Everyone else picked. And then also when you do that, make sure you're picking something that maybe has synergy. Okay, they've got Hela. If I'm playing tank, I see we got a Hela. I'm gonna just let me get Thor. There's some potential synergy there, right? So and then also the map. Pay attention to this is a whole different thing, but pay attention to what game mode's being played. There is a lot of characters that are much better on one side than the other, whether it's defense, offense, or attacking, where you're pushing a payload or defending it, or whether the match is payload or there's domination, right? There's Penny. Penny plays really well in domination, and if I have to play tank domination, I'm automatically going Penny because Penny does a really good job of setting up and doing a lot of damage most of the time. So yeah, I'm usually running Penny. Like, okay, cool. I see what's going on, and a lot of times in the lower ranks or quick matches or whatever, I'm able to be MVP with Penny because she plays so well in games like domination. Once you get set up, things like that. So yeah, just be able to recognize that, be able to switch, and you'll be golden. That's all I gotta say, man. If you guys did enjoy, thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, man, and we'll be back with some more. I'm gonna start uploading some gameplay content for Marvel Snap, but also right now we're currently heavily in Pokemon Pocket. So if you're interested in that game at all, yeah, check it out. I got plenty of content on there on the channel. So anyways, if you guys did enjoy, please thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. We're out. We're Diversity. Peace, man.